Let's try a new angle this time. Alright guys, it's your boy Ryan Thomas here, and today I'm going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S5 to the Moto X second generation in 2016. Let's do this. Let's go straight into the comparison. So with the screens, we've got a 5.2 inch 1080p Super AMOLED display on the S5, and on the Moto X we've got a 5.1 inch AMOLED display, again being 1080p, and they're very similar displays in their spec, but they're a little bit different in the way they work. So obviously they're both AMOLED, meaning that no black pixels actually light. If you have a completely black background, it won't light the background. If you have a black image, a completely black image, and you're in the dark, you won't actually see any backlight because there isn't any backlight. It will almost look like your phone is off, which is awesome. The S5 has a very overly saturated, very vibrant, and actually really poppy and fun to look at screen, whereas the Moto X has more of a color accurate screen and has some features that make use of that AMOLED technology just a little bit more. For the cameras, we're going into this pretty hardcore in this because the S5 does have a 16 megapixel sensor, and at the time was renowned for having one of the best cameras. It's capable of shooting 4K at 30 FPS, and the front camera is magical. That's capable of shooting 1080p at 30 FPS, 2 megapixel, and you're probably thinking, whoa, right, what's going on? That's not exciting at all. Not until you see how wide angle that lens is. It is stupidly wide angle. You do not need a selfie stick in this situation. It's so wide, you could just put your arm out, and at an arm's length, you're going to get many people in that photo. It's just so wide. My favourite selfie camera to date. Not the best quality, but definitely the widest and the most fun to use. Now on the Moto X we have a 13 megapixel sensor on the back, capable of shooting 4K video at 30 FPS again, and the front camera is 2 megapixel, again being able to take 1080p video at 30 FPS. And so the spec is very similar, but the autofocus I found wasn't as good on the Moto X, and it was a little bit inaccurate and also not as quick to take the photo. But the photos did look good when you took them. I mean, with both cameras you're not going to go wrong, but I would pick the S5 over the Moto X just because I believe it's just a little bit more crispy. Battery life then. The Moto X has a non-removable 2300 mAh battery and lasts me a full day, no problem. The Galaxy S5 has a removable 2800 mAh battery and wasn't so able to get me that full day of use. But apparently, shout out to the guys who were commenting on my review of this, you can install Android 6.0 and it works perfectly fine. Apparently that does fix a hell of a lot of the bugs and problems with battery life and stuff, which is great. I wasn't able to do that with my unit because it just didn't want to do an over-the-air update on T-Mobile, but I'm sure hopefully you guys have that option and you're able to take full advantage of it. Build quality. Now the Moto X almost swayed my friend Callum. You guys probably know Callum. He was almost swayed in moving from his iPhone 5S to one of these devices, or an Android device, because of its insane build quality. It has a soft touch finish on the back, it has metal rails around the edge and Gorilla Glass 3.0. This is on the Moto X, of course. Now the S5 is a lot more plasticky, a lot more Samsung-y of the time, with plastic rails around the outside, plastic back, again being removable, which is awesome, and a Gorilla Glass 3 on the front as well. But it is IP67 rated, meaning that you do have a decent amount of waterproof and dust proofing. Obviously you're not going to go deep sea diving with this, but it's very splash proof, and you know, being out in wet weather is going to be fine with it. Okay, for the main hardware specs, they're both using Snapdragon 801 system on a chips, which consists of an Adreno 330 GPU and 2GB of RAM, obviously not on the system on a chip, but yeah, it works really well. I have a little bit of an issue with the S5 because when I was running Lollipop it just wasn't very smooth whatsoever. But with the Moto X it was perfectly fine and very smooth. I think this might be down to TouchWiz, again might have a dodgy unit, but at the end of the day I feel I get way too many units to be able to call them dodgy. Like, it seems like every single phone is different to everyone else's, which is kind of annoying because, I mean, I don't know where I'm going wrong here. But I'm sure your S5 will be fine. Mine just wasn't very smooth and there were quite a few crashes. Apparently it's down to the way Samsung uses their chips, and they're pretty power hungry anyway. For the features then, with the Moto X we have Quick Charge 2.0, being able to charge your phone 60% in 30 minutes, and also it does have the wave over the screen to activate the screen, so it will give you the time notifications and also the date, and that's when you wave over the screen. You don't have to actually touch the device itself for it to do that. Whereas the S5 is a little bit more featureful. It has a fingerprint scanner, not the fastest in the world, but it's still there. We have a heart rate sensor, which is kind of cool for monitoring, you know, your heart rate and stuff. An IR blaster, so you can use this with a TV, like a TV remote, and it also has micro SD expansion, which is awesome. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. For me, I would go with the Moto X because of its build quality and the fact it's near stock Android. Also, it is a little bit more expensive, but I don't know, I think I could live with that. The screen is still a little bit too small for me. Guys, I'm a 5.7 inch to like 6 inch phone user. I don't tend to use these small phones, but it does look very nice and it feels really nice in the hand. The S5 does have all those features, which is awesome, and it's a little bit cheaper as well, from where I found it. But for me, I'd go with the Moto X personally. You couldn't go wrong with either of these phones, they're awesome. I haven't really gone through many of the in-depth details just because I've got reviews of both of these phones up on my channel. Guys, thanks for 900 subscribers, it's pretty cool. We're approaching 1k extremely rapidly, and when you're watching this, we might even be on 1k. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please drop a like if you liked it, drop a dislike if you disliked it. Maybe you preferred the S5, not sure. I have nothing against the S5, I think it's a great phone. I just personally would pick the Moto X. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been your boy Ryan Thomas, and have a good week. I'll see you on Monday. See you guys later. Peace.